Kyle here from All Media Reviews, here to continue on with the, hold on a second, vinyl A to Z. Hopefully, I think this is, hopefully will be the last part of the M's. This is the part 3, vinyl collection. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting something. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Jeez. That's probably a problem when you do this by artist. Okay, I got these slightly out of order, but, so, you know, this is part 3, this is vinyl number 19. So here's Midlake. I showed probably all of this when I was getting into their new album last year. You know, I picked up some of this stuff. So this is the album from, I think it's their second album, The Trials of Van Occupanther from 2006. Orozco was all over the place in like the indie circles, the Pitchfork audience, and the current locally. Young Bride, it's got some other songs I like, but I remember revisiting it last year though and liking it more than I remembered. I remember it was more like uneven, although I have it on CD. I bought it in CD in like 2006, but because I love Roscoe, the song itself. So then I have, what is it, an EP of a cover, I guess? Yeah, from 2011 from Midlake. Midlake, the band from Denton, Texas. I don't know if they went to like Rice or that other school that has the members went to. You know, style-wise, they're kind of like psychedelic folk, you know, using piano, very retro sounding at times. Roscoe sounds like Fleetwood Mac, especially. This was done. This 12-inch single is "Am I Going Insane?" and the oh, it's a split with a band called Will Self, the Happy Detective. So, yeah, it's a Black Sabbath cover. But anyway, I remember finding this. It was like $3 you can see on sale on Record Store. It was a Record Store Day maybe in 2011, so that's how far it went back. You know, I was into them a little bit, and then I kind of dismissed them. Their second album, the third album, the one that followed Trials of Van Occupanther and Antiphon, I didn't like, so I kind of blew them off and kind of forgot about them, and then... So then this album came out last year. I checked it out. I checked out the one previous too, because I think they had one between Antiphon and this one. And I don't know, I thought it was okay, but this album from last year, Bethel Woods, for the sake of Bethel Woods, it finished in my top 10 records, top 5 last year. I should know the title better. I haven't listened to it since. But it's very polished. Again, it has that retro sound, a lot of cool piano. I remember the Prog Corner, Scott mentioned something about he thought it was like part of the concept, or it was a concept album based on maybe going into Bethel, New York. But again, they're from Texas, so. But yeah, this is an excellent record. And then this was also issued last year. I don't know if it was around the time it came out. Yeah, or no, actually this came out. Did this come out this year? Maybe this was a Record Store Day end this year. That's right, it was. This is live at Roundhouse, where Opeth, of course, had done a live album too. I think this is over in Europe. I could be wrong, but anyway, and they do a lot of Bethel Woods on this, but they also do a lot of stuff from previous records, including Von Occupanther rather. So, and I showed E.B. the Younger, which one of the members. That's how I kind of got a little bit more intrigued by them. One of the members from Midlake's like side project that has a very 70s sound too. So I mean, say that the E.B. the Younger album is that different from Midlake. Different members, but sound-wise is pretty similar. But anyway, yeah, this is a pretty cool live record. Anyway, so moving on, trying to get this in here. So, I have 2 records on vinyl. I think I might have more of them on CD. Minus The Bear, the band from, I want to say they're from Seattle. That was popping up left and right. I saw them live at least twice, maybe 3 times. I couldn't finally totally get into them, but I wanted to. Like, a lot of the bands I loved were compared to, or were compared to them, rather, more so. But I eventually, because I mean, I liked it. I know they have, like, really funny, sort of sarcastic song titles, but this is their album from 2000, I want to say it was 2004, 2005, Minos El Oso. They're big amongst the Dredge fans. That was part of it. It's like, a lot of the Dredge fans were talking about them frequently, and yeah, they're Prog, and then I found out later they worked with Daryl Hall. They were more, I think it was when they went to live at Daryl's house. This is the album they work with it. They appeared on that, but they were influenced the most by Prog on this album from 2007, and the album that really made me really more of a fan, Planet of Ice. It's Burying Luck, Ice Monster, Night. Nights is terrific. Dr. Liling, Double Vision Quest. There's a math rock album. I mean, right before I got into Foals, that whole math rock thing and Battles I was into around the same year. I wasn't too sure about math rock, and I'm still kind of spotty on it, but when a math rock is good and it's used well, it's really good. And that got me more interested to check this out and some of the other records out. But I'll confess that really this is their crown jewel, and I've never found anything else they did as good as 2007's Planet of Ice. So anyway, that's my minus the Bear collection at this point. So I saw them with Annuals, and I saw them with the other band. I saw them with the Velveteen, but there was another band I saw them with too, because I think I saw them 3 times, and at least with Annuals and that other band, I forget who, Heliosequence. Both those bands were better, I thought, oddly enough. I thought when I saw them with Velveteen, that was the last time I saw them. That was the best show I saw them with, so. Okay, so I've got 2 records from this next band. This is Miracles of Modern Science. This is I think their debut album, yeah. Dog Year, which came out in 2011. And then this is the EP Memes, which I could be wrong. Might have been the next year, or might have been, I think it was the next year. You know what? Oh, I've got another one. I've got their final record too. I forgot that. This is Mean Dreams from 2015. I really miss these guys. I saw them live, I want to say at least twice, maybe 3 times in about a 2-year period. They're an acoustic band that uses like vocal harmonies and dynamics really well. They sound like they should be using electric guitars. They're kind of like the receiving end of Sirens if they did all acoustic and didn't do any actual hardcore screaming. I mean, that's a weird comparison. Or you could say maybe closer to say something like the Punch Brothers, or the mandolin is one of the coolest elements of them, but their vocal arrangements and the energy can be great. Mom's Away on the debut album. I haven't listened to this in a long time. You know, Lumino's another favorite. I remember Space Chopper. I just remember the flow on this record was great. And I remember I saw them down in Northfield. That was a big deal because I've been wanting to see them. And then they came back. Was like, I'm going to say it was a few months later. But this was the one that I noticed more people, like, I have one of their set lists in here, getting into them. It's just too bad because that was the mid-2010s, early to mid-2010s, and then they kind of disappeared. They even did a cover of the Gortia song, Somebody They Used to Know, that was really well received, with like a vocoder and all this stuff. But Dear Pressure, The Singularity, I mean, if you like Punch Brothers, or even like the Reign of Kindle a little bit, because there's a jazz element to their music, they're a band to check out still. You can just check them. I think they might be mostly on Spotify, Miracles of Modern Science. Mean Dreams is the album probably I've listened to the least, but I remember liking a lot of it. But anyway, I think they're from New York. They had one member that was from overseas, though. But, you know, it's been like, they're like dormant for the last 6-7 years. It's sad. But it happens sometimes. Hopefully they'll come back someday. So, alright, so here's my Janelle Monae collection. I have just the first 3 proper releases. I haven't even opened this. This is the EP in the Metropolis, the Chase Suite, you know, which includes, I still probably consider my favorite Janelle Monae song, Many Moons. The flow is so great, the lyrics, it's happy, it's very, you know, like, against the man, you know, but the whole record is great, you know. She's taking a little bit from Outkast, but, you know, there's the psychedelic elements, there's the R&B elements, the funk elements, and then her vocal style, and the Disney elements. She did that more, though, as a whole on her second record, which is still my favorite overall, The Arc Android from 2010. Cold War, Faster. There's only like 1 or 2 tracks I'm not crazy about. Make the Bus, which features Kevin Barnes of Montreal, because I don't really like him as a singer. That one, there's like one other, but Baba Booyah is another favorite. That's the most sort of orchestral, cinematic. I mean, the whole like concept and story that she created in this universe of Sidney Mayweather has not been better than on this debut full length or second release from Janelle Monae from 2010. Even though at first I was totally writing her off, you know, but I was totally wrong about that. So then 2013's Electric Lady followed up the story of Cindy Mayweather, and is not quite as good, but I still like it a lot. I mean, it has Queen, which features Erykah Badu, Electric Lady, the title track, We Were Rock and Roll, Dance Apocalyptic, Dorothy Dandridge, which features Esperanza Spalding, which actually, I had known about Esperanza Spalding before that, but that's kind of the track that's like, I got to hear more of her stuff, and made me more of an Esperanza Spalding fan. I'm not surprised that she worked with Janelle, that Janelle would want her on her album, but this is 2013. I haven't bought her last two records because I'm not as into them, but, you know, that's just my taste. Anyway, so this is a weird next group because we have, you know, almost countless more other titles from them on these stacks of my wife's. You can see one big box, but this is my own personal Monkee collection. I'm not even sure the picture disc I bought from Record Store Day I still have. I think it's probably part of hers. But I've got just two of their records. I need more of them probably, but she's got so many I don't really need them. But just I have Head from 1968. They're sort of the soundtrack to the experimental film, which has the three tracks that I think of the most: Circle Sky, Can You Dig It, and Porpoise Song. It has a few others, though. I mean, it has some of the clips from the sound. I think Jack Nicholson shows up because he wrote the screenplay, I believe. Daddy Song, which is a Davy thing, and what's the other one that I was remembering recently? As We Go Along, I think it is. Yeah, that's the one that's very dreamy. I think they're the scene where they're jumping into off the bridge and everything, but. Right before, is that the one? Right before they go into Porpoise Song. Porpoise Song's where they jump off the bridge. I've only seen Head maybe twice. We saw it once in like the local theater, and then we watched it at home. But anyway, it's a weird movie, of course, but it was very kind of out there, and it took a lot of chances and influential. That's where Frank Zappa even shows up in. So I have their last proper record. I mean, they did the Christmas record after this, but which I don't think came out on vinyl. Might have, but my wife would have it if it does. We have it on CD, I know, but their album of 2016, which the late Adam Schlesinger produced, Good Times, which has several really good tracks on it. You know, you have Rivers Cuomo, and you have Andy Partridge writing songs like You Bring the Summer and She Makes Me Laugh. Me and Magdalena, although I'm with my wife, I think the fast version I like more. Birth of an Accidental Hipster, which was written by two guys. It was Noel Gallagher and I forget the other co-writer of that. It may have been Paul Williams. And, you know, I mean, there's some songs just knowing some of the extra tracks that didn't end, like some of the Peter Tork songs. But overall, this is a really well-produced, good-sounding record. You know, the Mickey songs are probably my favorites overall, but you know, again, Birth of an Accidental Hipster is a kind of a co-vocal. Although my wife has said that she kind of thinks that Nez should have just done all the vocals on that, but whatever. But yeah, I have. I know a couple of the songs were from the Missy Link series that were brought back to include Davy in here. But yeah, that was from 2016. Good Times. The limit of my Monkees collection, just those two records. So, moving along, trying to get through this, I have just these two records from this band, and these are really the only two records I like. I like one of their other releases, but it's not a full length. But this is Murder by Death, which is the name of a film, of course, but post-rock, you know, Western Americana band that uses a lot of piano from Indiana. Both the records are a mouthful. I know that it's like a concept album. I think the debut album is this one, Like the Exorcist, but with more breakdancing. And a lot of the songs reference different films. This was like 2002. Like they came out, so 2002, 2003, they like back-to-back years. And then the second record, Who Will Survive and What Will Be Left of Them? You know, they're mouthful. They're not records that are easy to remember, but the compositions on both these records are excellent. Like Clan Zoo and Dredge, they're using post-rock but this particular case, so like he likes Crippled Black Phoenix. It's kind of in that vein. Influenced by like Morricone. They use violin really well. The dynamics. It's some little snippets here and there. I mean, to name favorites off of these, last time I listened to them was a couple of years ago, and I can't. And you can see the track lists on this record and then the debut album. The problem I have is that on these first two records, the singer sounds like he's got a normal, clean voice. But he's adopted basically a Johnny Cash style, and he sounds a little too much like Johnny Cash for me. And I've noticed that they kind of abandoned a lot of the piano. I mean, I haven't listened to all the records since, but the one that came out after this record, the third record, and then pretty much all the records, other than they have one EP that I really like called Finch, which is all instrumental, but you know, the Johnny Cash part kills it for me, unfortunately. Kind of like Tame Impala, the singer sounds a little bit like too much like John Lennon. Not that I don't like John Lennon, but I just don't want someone sounding like impersonating him. So, all right. So I think to close out all the the last part of this video too, which I've shown already before. Yeah, my Mutemath collection, which unfortunately I still don't have everything by them. A band I love. So I have 2011's Odd Soul, fantastic retro-sounding, groove, funk, an energetic record, very organic-sounding record from 2011, Odd Soul. I mean, the title track, Blood Pressure, Cavalries is fantastic. Equals. It's just this is actually, I've confessed, if I had to go to, it'd be my #1 record from Mutemath, as much as I love all the records. So I have the Spotlight single. Actually, this would come before Odd Soul, but this came out in 2009. Spotlight was in one of the first vampire movie that I'm not thinking of. It was on the soundtrack for Twilight, which, for better or for worse, it gave them exposure. But, Mutemath are not really a band anymore. They're not active, so that tells you what it's worth. But anyway, I have that. So then I have 2015's Vitals, which is more electronic. I went over this in my Mutemath video last year, the year before, but Monument is one of the highlights, the title track. It's a little more electronic, and I know a lot of the fans did not like this record. I like it, but I think I still probably rank it at the bottom of their catalog. And then, of course, I've got the final record, Play Dead, from 2017. And it was my album of the year then. Is it my album of the year now? I have to find out when I do the albums of the year, but it's a fantastic closing record, if you want to call it retirement. They did put out an EP after this, but this is the last full length. Hit Parade, Achilles Heel, Marching to the End is epic. It's kind of sad in a lot of ways, but it's also uplifting at the same time. But great production. It's kind of a good blend of the electronic stuff of Vitals and all their other records, really. So that's it for the M's. I'll go on to the N's and some other letters over the rest of this week, hopefully. And but thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you next time.